The final portion of this lesson, I want to go ahead and show you how I would begin making a song from scratch using all the things we learned in the lesson previously. So let's go ahead and insert a couple of MIDI tracks. Let's go ahead and use two different drum kits. For this first one up here, we are going to go into our drums and drag in a 909 kit. And for this bottom one, we're going to use the 808 kit. We're going to insert another MIDI channel for the sub, and we're going to go ahead and use the hip hop sub bass. We'll drag that into there. We're going to go ahead and put another MIDI channel. This one right here is going to be for the piano. When we go into our instruments and go to the instrument rack, we're going to go ahead and pick the glass piano. Put that in there. Next thing we're going to do is put an effects channel. We'll call this noise up. We'll add another one. Call it noise down. And another one for ambient. Finally, we're going to put a vocal channel in here. And let's go ahead and change the colors of these channels. Now when it comes to the drums, if you remember opening up my Ableton template, I always make my drums the color orange. That way, when I see that color within my project, I know it is going to be a drum part. For the hip hop sub, I'm going to go ahead and make that yellow. The piano is going to be green. All of my effects are going to be purple. And the vocal is always in the color white. And on top of that, let's go ahead and group all of these instruments together. We are going to go ahead and rename that group and just call it the song. The first thing that we're going to do is we are going to write a drum part, and we're going to make a house beat. I went ahead and put a couple different indicators up here. For example, this is how long I want my house beat to be played for. This is how long I want my build to happen. And this is going to be my drop. Once my drop is finished, I'm going to make a beat in halftime and create one big note at the end for the finish of the song. We can go about writing the drums two separate ways. A really quick way to do it would be to turn on this button up here and also this one right here. And that way we can play the drum part on our keyboard. We can also turn the metronome on and just go ahead and record the part. You're gonna have to find out which button on the keyboard is going to make what sound. So for example on here, the A button is going to be the kick. The D button is the snare. The E button is going to be the clap. And the U button is the open hi-hat. Now we can go ahead and record that. Now that we have the recording, we can go ahead and select all of them. Once we quantize it, we can put it on the 8th note scale. And let's hear what that sounds like. Looks like it got off the grid a little bit, so we can move it over. Not a problem. Now we can see that the kick drum is being played on a quarter note. This beat is going to be in a full-time feel, so the snare and clap are going to go on the 2nd and 4th beat of the measure, and the hi-hats are going to be on the off beat of each quarter note. Now we're going to go ahead and duplicate this And in order to spice it up, we're going to add a couple extra kick drum parts. For example, on this fourth beat right here, the kick drum will be hit twice. And same with over here, but that one's going to be moved over to the side. All together, this is what it's going to sound like. Pretty simple. And we're going to go ahead and just hit the duplicate button. So you can right click and duplicate, or you can hit Control D on your keyboard if you're on a Windows. And we have the drum part written right there. Now for the chord progression, I'm going to go ahead and open up the sample pack that I gave you. And I'm going to go ahead and drag in the C minor progression, number 20, into the glass piano. And let's hear what that sounds like. Sounds pretty good. Let's go ahead and duplicate that 4 times. And if you remember what we were saying about the sub part, all we have to do is write a melody up here. We can go ahead and highlight the portion where we would like to write the sub part. Right click, insert MIDI clip. We can look down here and see what notes are being played at the bottom of the progression. And we can just go ahead and paste them. Let's drag a EQ8 onto the hip hop sub bass to see where the notes are being played. You can see that the notes are being played a little bit high, so we're gonna hit Control A to highlight all of them, Shift down to drop them down an octave, and let's hear what that sounds like. Much better. Let's go ahead and copy and paste that, or duplicate it over. And now we have our drum part, we have a sub part, and also the piano part. Let's go ahead and add a little bit of ambience. Something that I like to use. It's a part of this eColli sample pack. It is actually a vinyl crackle. This is what it sounds like. I'm gonna go ahead and turn the warp mode off. And let's duplicate that all the way until it drops. Let's see what that sounds like. It's a little bit loud, so we're gonna turn it down by hitting this knob right here. There we have it. We have our introduction to the song. We made a drum part. We also made a bass part, a chord progression, and we put a little bit of ambience behind it. So it's sounding pretty full, in my opinion. For a build-up, a really good way to make it sound different, you can just go ahead and just take out that kick drum part completely and just duplicate that twice. We're gonna go ahead and duplicate the piano part over here. Instantly sounds different because we took the sub out and also the kick drum. For this next part, we're just going to add a little bit of a silence before the drop portion of the song. We're going to take out that last hi-hat hit. And then what we're going to do is we're going to copy this whole entire section. So we're going to take the drums, the sub, and also the chord progression, and copy it over like this. That sounds nice. Let's duplicate that whole entire section over. What else I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put a sweep going down as soon as the build-up starts. I like that one. That one sounds cool. And we're going to go ahead and put the same one when the drop happens. And also over here during the hip-hop / halftime portion of the song. We're also going to go ahead and put a long sweep up during the build of the song. That sounds pretty crazy. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to leave it warped down here at the bottom. And you see up here where the chord progression ended and where the drum part ended? We're just going to hit Shift and drag this over so it ends at the same time. Let's go ahead and listen to this and make it the right volume so it doesn't overpower the rest of the song. And halfway through the drop, it sounds like we could do something to add a little bit more energy. A simple way of doing this is just putting in a different drum or a different element. I like how that sounds. Let's go ahead and do that. We're going to take the hi-hat part, we're going to copy it, paste it, and then move it up to the ride. We're going to go ahead and copy the hi-hat part. We're going to highlight all of it, copy it, paste it, and move it up to where it says ride. And this is what it's going to sound like now. What we can also do is put a crash in on the very first hit right here. Same with the beginning of the drop. Let's go ahead and put a crash in right there. And I always like to go ahead and rename all of my channels with something that I'm going to remember. Just like that. For this next portion, we're going to go ahead and make a drum part that is going to be in a halftime feel. If you remember what that means, the snare drum would fall on the third beat of a measure. Let's look in here. That's going to be the kick drum. That's going to be the clav. I like that drum beat. Let's record that. Go ahead and highlight that. Open up your quantized settings. Let's put it on an 8th note. Let's hear what it sounds like. That sounds pretty cool. That sounds pretty cool. Let's go ahead and activate the draw mode, which is a pencil up there. We're going to right click on the editor and go into the fix grid. We're going to draw some 16th notes, and we're going to draw them onto the hi-hat closed key. Let's see what other instruments we have available with this drum kit, so we can see what we would like to use. I like how that cowbell sounds. Let's just put that in there. I want to put it on the 4th beat of the measure. Now that we have a drum beat that's in halftime, let's go ahead and duplicate that with Control D all the way until the end. And we can take the same chord progression and sub part and just paste it over. Now these cowbells are a little bit loud. Let's go ahead and drag them down. And say I want to make my snare drum louder, I can highlight it, and this button down here, I can drag it up to make it louder. Now at the end, we can go ahead and just copy that sweep. We can duplicate that progression over. Let's go ahead and delete everything besides the first chord. And we can just drag this chord out for the whole entire bar. And same thing over here. We're going to delete everything besides the first note. And just to make the end of the song nicer, I'm going to insert a volume automation right here. So you can right click on the volume, show automation in a new lane. You can draw this line to turn the volume of your bass down, like so. And we're going to draw another MIDI clip right here on the 909 kit. We're going to go ahead and put a kick drum and also the 2 crashes that are available. We can also take this sweep right here and copy it over halfway through the drop. And we'll do the same exact thing where we add a little bit of silence before a song goes into halftime. So now all of this right here is completely quiet. And after that, the hip hop part would start. another thing we can do is add a vocal element. And like I said before, if you don't have a particular vocal melody or vocalist in mind, you can do certain things to work around that. So I'm going to go ahead and look for a vocal sample. I have the Cymatics Infinity pack, and within here we have a couple different chants.
Yo!
We can just go ahead and drag that into here on the drop, and let's place it.
Yo!
That sounded pretty good. And these two channels right here are the return channels. So this one right here is actually a reverb, and this one right here is a delay. So if we drag these knobs up to about -10 each, you're going to hear a little bit of effects on the vocals now.
Yo!
Let's drag the delay all the way up to 0.
Yo! Yo! Yo!
And then for the hip hop, we can go ahead and put something like
Yeah. 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 Yo. Yo. Yeah. Yeah. Hi.
They got some funny ones in here.
Hey.
Let's put that one in there. And we'll put it on this beat right here.
Hey.
I'm going to go ahead and copy this one over here as well. So there's a nice sweep up all the way into this noise down over here. Now that we have everything in place, let's go ahead and listen to what we have. We got 2 different drum kits. We have a sub part, a piano. We have 3 different effects, a noise up or a sweep up, a sweep down, a little bit of ambience, and some vocal samples. Let's go ahead and listen to that. For a quick song, that sounded pretty good. That wasn't too bad, was it? I think everyone in this group should be able to do this, now that I've explained it pretty thoroughly.